Okay.
And I answered the phone. And this man said to me, I'd like to speak to Mrs. Richards, Miss Etta Richards. I said, Miss Etta Richards is speaking. He said, oh. He said, well, this is Bob Johnson from Arlington, Fairfax, up at the Seven Corners. I said, oh, Mr. Johnson, how are you? He said, well, I called to tell you about the good news. We had that meeting. He said, and we have granted you $13,500. I said, praise God for whom all blessings flow. $13,000 they granted me. And he said the construction company will take back second trust. And honey, this house went up. I was able to get the contractor. I called the contractor. He came here, and my mother called me on a Monday and told me, she said, Etta, I see the contractor down after the house, the bulldozer, whatever they called it, the bulldozer. I said, praise God, praise God. And they started digging out the foundation for this house. And they kept on until they got this house built up. And then we had a meeting in Falls Church at Mrs. McIntyre's one night. He said, and you may be able to get some of your friends or somebody to help. We'll do the exterior, and they may be able to do the interior. And sure enough, I called a meeting. And I called a guy by the name of Willie Lindsay, electrician. Willie Lindsay was the plumber, to have that meeting. And they all agreed to help me. So everybody came. Some did the plumbing, some did the wiring. The man that did the wiring, he's living over in Vienna now.
Were these all African American contractors, or were they white?
They were white. They contacted. And this house went up, and then my son, he was a painter. His wife came down, and they painted, and they did this, they did that. But that, they wanted to come up the stairs and go through that closet there into the kitchen. But I said, no, I want to use that closet. Come up and go through here and go into the kitchen. And that's the way they did it.
So you designed the house?
Yeah. I designed this house. And I have 3 bedrooms upstairs and 2 down.
Because you had said when you first got the property, you only had $40 in the bank.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us about that?
I only had $40 and I left that there. But that $40, I let that stay there. And I forget how much my payments were. It never got over $200 a month. Never got over $200. And I paid, this house cost me $18,000.
Wow.
I built this house for $18,000.
So you didn't have any problems getting money from the bank? Because, the history is a lot of banks wouldn't lend to African Americans.
No, I never had any problem because Arlington and Fairfax had loaned that money. I had to pay Arlington and Fairfax back. And I paid every penny for this house by myself.
So was Arlington and Fairfax a bank, or what was Arlington and Fairfax?
It was a bank.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And I paid every penny. Nobody paid another dime on this house. I paid every penny. And then I had my brother here. And then Arlington and Fairfax had a place up here in Fairfax too. And my brother's wife had a stroke and she had to go in the hospital. And he didn't have anybody to take care of him. So they asked him where he wanted to go. Say, you can't stay here by yourself. He he said, well, I guess I'll go up to Etta's. So on that following Saturday, here they came with him, bag and baggage, and I kept him until he died. Took him to the doctor, we take him out for rides and everything, and I kept him until he died. Then there was a cousin in Falls Church. We always called her cousin, lived down on Annandale Road. Well, she didn't have anybody. Her sister had passed away, and she was there alone. She rented out some rooms to men. They would take her money. They'd pay her, and then they'd take her money back, steal her money. So one day a lady, she was related to my husband, first husband, Willis Richards. She called me and she said, Etta, why don't you come down there and see about Miss Julia Parker? Said she's down there and she is in bad shape. I said, if you're a Christian woman, you go down there and see about it yourself. Instead of calling up here to me, I said, I'm trying to get in this house up here. I said, I don't have space sufficient for her. Well, I thought to myself, now what am I going to do now? Next day, it just looked like God touched me. I went down there. I got some of my mother's clothes. And I went down there, and when I went in that house, you never saw such a terrible sight in your life. And my sister Bernice, her electric was off. She had no water. She had no heat. I said, oh my Lord. And her legs, she had sugar.
Mm.
Her legs, green flies was after her legs.
Mm.
And they were heating water. You know how you put cinder blocks up, and then you put a tin piece over top of it to heat water? I went next door and over there. I got some water from over there. And my sister Bernice said to me, she said, Etta, I don't know what you're gonna do. I said, I don't know. She said, I got that water and I had a basin. And I started washing her feet. Because the blood was running out of her legs. My sister Bernice stood up there. She said, I don't know how you do it. I said, just give me another piece of chewing gum. Let me chew some gum. And she gave me more chewing gum, and I just kept on doing her feet till I got them clean. I had to get them out of my way because the green fly was after her legs. And then after I got her feet straight, then I got some more water, and then I started up. Cleaned her up, and I got her all clean. I had some of my mother's clothes. I put them on her. Her bed, oh, I can't explain to you what the bed looked like and what it looked like. I've never seen anybody in such a shape as she was in. Well, my sister Bernice said, well, what are you going to do with her? I said, don't ask me now, just let me think. I said, the Lord will tell me something to do with her. So I just kept on getting things on there, and finally, I got her out of that bed into a wheelchair because she had fallen and broke one leg, I think. Broke her hip or sprained it or something. And something touched me and said, call the ambulance. I called the ambulance, and they were there in no time.
So were this was a white ambulance? This was a white ambulance?
Yes.
And they would take blacks then?
It's still down there now. Down there, not far from Graham Road School where I worked. And they came and they took her to Fairfax Hospital. And they got her all straightened out and everything. And they told me that her problem was that she had sugar. And she looked up and she said to me, she was still in her right mind. She said, "Oh Lord, I hope they don't put me in a nursing home." And I looked at her and I said, "Cousin Julia, don't worry about it." I said, "You going to a nursing home, but it won't be one that you think. It's going to be my home. I'm going to take you there, and I'm going to keep you and take care of you." She said, "Thank God for that."
And so you took care of
I
her.
brought her here, and I kept her until she passed.
Wow.
And I borrowed money to bury her because she had never worked under Social Security.
So where could you bury people back then under segregation?
There's a cemetery up in Clifton.
Okay.
Put her up there, and I kept her, and I borrowed money to bury her.
So when you were living in Falls, how many children did you have?
5.
5.
Yeah.
And you raised them basically as a single parent?
Because the daddy, we separated after he became an alcoholic.
So when you said you worked at Luther Jackson High School, it was a high school then, or was it after?
High school.
It was high school, so it was segregated.
Yeah.
So was that your first job then?
Yeah, I think that was my first. But I used to do some babysitting around. I
Okay.
used to work for people, take care of people all over Fairfax County. Taking care of people. You didn't have to have license then. You could just go up there and get a call. I would get many calls from Fair Oaks. I'd get calls, the lady would want to know if I was busy, I had a job. And I said, "No, I'm not doing anything right now." She said, "Well, I got a job for you."